You're inside the press box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your host, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Hey, Vero Nation. Thanks for joining us inside the press box. Along with Gary Paris, I'm Paul Tipton and Vero Beach. Now 8-0 on the season. Got a big key district win the other night against St. Lucie West Centennial, 41-13. Weather issues, all kinds of issues. It just seems like every time we get down into that stadium area down there at South County, something strange happens, and it certainly did on Friday night. And of course, for us, technically, we had some issues going on just trying to get the game broadcasted, and it was a fun, well, I shouldn't say a fun night. It was a strange night, and it started out with Vero Beach giving up a couple of points with a safety. And Gary, you look at that first half of Vero Beach, and at the end with a 41-13 score, you just wonder how in the world did Vero Beach ever pull out a win like this? Because you and I are kind of looking at each other here in this first half and going, man, I don't know what in the world's going on, but Vero just does not look like Vero Beach. I mean, you had a punt, you had turnover on downs, you had a fumble that St. Lucie recovers, but it somehow, by the time we get to the locker room at halftime, Vero Beach is up by a point.
Yeah, it was a strange game to begin with, and the not my favorite stadium to play in. They got the loudspeaker right up where we have to sit, and it's just a hard place to call a game. And but the game itself, give credit to Josh Watkins.
Oh,
at post game, Matt and I
Great
had a
job.
chance to. He came up to the press box to check on some things and all there, and we had a chance to talk with him. And I told him, I said, man, you did a good job of disguising your defense. I mean, you went from a cover one, as they call it, with one deep safety or one deep guy in the middle. You jumped into a cover two, and you took away Jacobs by sliding a guy over to take away anything on him you could, like the screens. And he goes, yeah, that was our game plan, was to keep the ball out of his hand as much as possible.
Yeah.
But and I said, you did a good job. It was 14-13. And he says, yeah, we just couldn't protect the ball. We made too many mistakes on our side of the ball. And I said, well, don't feel bad. We didn't play a great game either. I mean, we had some mistakes too. Mm-hmm. We dropped some balls, some big plays.
Yeah. And
so it was a game where Josh the whole family has known and coached with Lenny for years. They were up in the Panhandle together. They were at John Carroll together and at Vero Beach together, the Watkins clan, and brothers and cousins and all like that. So it's not surprising they didn't know what we were going to do.
Yeah.
But we took a game that we allowed to get close early, and we took advantage of. Our defense played superb, especially the second half of the game.
You know, Gary, as odd as this may sound, maybe the thing that helped Vero more than anything else was the weather delay. We had a weather delay at halftime. The horn sounds off, and it was about a 30-40 minute delay before we got to the start of the second half, which I think gave our coaches time to kind of work out some more of the whatever issues were going on in that first half and kind of help the kids understand what is actually happening on the field. Because, again, we started out this episode talking about, there were some tech problems. Well, guess what? There were tech problems going on with the team as well. They have their sideline replays that they're able to use so that when, the offense or defense comes off, they can go up under the tent. They watch the replays, which is so helpful. And these guys have gotten so accustomed to that when you don't have that, and they didn't have that for sure the second half. I think pretty much the entire game
they
did not have it.
Yeah.
Again, because of the cell phone outage that was going on for Verizon in that particular area, and all of us were using Verizon as our method for internet, and so that really created some problems, particularly in that first half. So I think the weather delay, Gary, ultimately helped Vero Beach.
Yeah, point well made there, Paul. The thing about the our fans to understand, and that our line can come off the field offensively, defensively. We film everything upstairs. They film it, then they can shoot it down to the laptops or the computers. Then there's a TV screen in there under the tent and then so the players can come in, put chairs around, and look at the block or look at the scheme that what happened, what didn't happen, what call was made or whatever. So it's a tool of teaching. And you're right, because we didn't have that, the coaches got an extra half hour to be able to draw on the board the things that they needed to be doing. And in the second half, the game then just got out of control. We did a shutout on defense, and then the offense picked up defense got us 2 touchdowns or one. Well, special teams or defense and.
Well, yeah, we had so we in the first half. We had a safety.
Right.
And we gave 2 points to Centennial, but then they returned the favor on a kickoff as the returner went into the end zone and got tackled for a safety.
That's what I meant. Special teams tackled and got us the safety on that one.
But how about this, Gary? And I don't know, statistically speaking, I don't know if you count the safeties as a turnover or not. I don't know if that's how they classify that. But if not, then Vero Beach, just without the safety, had 4 takeaways on that defense. They had 3 interceptions. They had 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 of those ended up in 14 points. On the defensive side, pick 6 and a fumble recovery that was a scoop and score by Pollock. So the defense helped our offense by scoring. The offense, was struggling a little bit. Think about this: 100 yards passing for the game for Vero Beach. When's the last time we've said that?
That's and especially this year. Maybe it was in a half because we only played one half of a ball game. We still had more than 100. Yeah. And the other one might be a running clock where you don't throw much in the second half to begin with. Mm-hmm. So, but for a 4-quarter game to have 100 yards of passing, that means you dropped a lot of passes, or your quarterback got sacked, or he chose to run. They did a good job, really, taking us out of our rhythm. They did. And never allowing our quarterback Aronson to get in any tempo at all. It was hard to get him some tempo at all tonight. The other night.
And and again, give a lot of credit to Centennial's defense. Their coaching staff, I think, did a great job figuring out what things could they try to take away from Vero Beach. And again, that's when you're going into a game, Gary. That's what you have to say. We're going to try to take this away. We've had other teams say the same thing. Look, Mike Watkins told us afterwards, he says, my whole goal was to try to make sure Vondravius Jacobs didn't have a stellar night. Well, he did. You still have to go out on the field and execute. Well, Centennial, they did. They actually executed their game plan fairly well. Now, thanks to Vero Beach's defense, as you said, pitched a shutout in the second half. Plus, with the takeaways, man, that really changed the game. And Vero Beach was able to capitalize and end up with a win, 41-13.
Isn't it a great feeling to have an off day offensively? Yeah, and have a defense that can pick up the slack or help you in the to keep you in the ball game or to win a ball game for you. Yeah, and then it allowed the offense to be able to run their offense much better the second half, and it put Centennial in a position where they had to throw almost every down.
Yep. I think you and I off the air at halftime, we both said the same thing to each other, that Vero Beach went into the locker room with that 1-point lead, and I said, you know what? I got a feeling at the end, Centennial is going to be kicking themselves that they didn't capitalize more in that first half, because it wasn't like a huge swing, but you could just sense with that interception by E.J. White, and he returned it 60 yards for a pick 6. You just felt like, okay, that momentum shifted, and then you had the delay. Then you come out in the start the second half, and Centennial is forced to punt, but then it's a bad snap on the punt. And E.J. White, again, he makes a tackle for a loss. Vero Beach starts from the Centennial 19-yard line, Rogers now gets a touchdown, and it's now 21-13. And all of a sudden you go,
Yes, and that to me, the next play, we kicked off, and they took a safety.
That was actually a little bit later in the game.
Well, to me, that was the turning point of the game.
Totally. Yeah,
because what it did was it gave the offense the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
You just scored, and you got 2 points because an ill-advised return by the return man.
Yep.
And he gets tackled in the end zone for a safety.
Yep.
They turn around and punt, and then we come right down and put it away.
Yeah, it was an interesting exchange of events because, late in the third quarter, Vero Beach, we fumble and Centennial recovers. Okay, well then one play later, Pollock intercepts the ball. We get the ball right back, and then we take it in and score. Then you get the safety, and even though Vero Beach ended up punting on the next possession, it was one of those where it's like, okay, Centennial's now not capitalizing on those mistakes, and I guarantee you, if you talk to Coach Watkins, that's going to be the thing he's going to. Man, we could never capitalize on Vero's mistakes.
Absolutely, and I had a chance to see Coach Mata on Saturday. I went to watch my grandson Chase play in a flag football game over there by the high school, and he runs that NFL flag football league, and on Saturdays he and his wife Kathy. And I had a chance to go by and talk to him, and and we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "How do you feel? A good second half?" He says, our team played good. Our kids played good. We had they threw some twist at us in the beginning, and they got a couple things, but we adjusted.
Yeah.
And Bill's good about adjusting, making those adjustments.
Yeah.
You improvise on the sidelines in between plays, and especially at halftime. Whereas, like you said, Lenny got a chance to get the offense going. And again, in the second half, they made those adjustments that came out, and Vero won a game that wasn't pretty, and won a game when they needed to, because now they're 2-0 in the district.
Yep.
Got a third district game coming in. They win on Friday, this Friday, and they go in 3-0 against Treasure Coast. No matter the outcome, Vero most likely will be in the playoffs.
Agreed. Given their record, given their strength of schedule, and more specifically their power rankings by the FHSAA, Vero Beach would be most likely in, as if they have to go as an at-large berth or what they might call a wild card. Vero Beach would have enough points to make it in. So it's looking better and better, but still, you can't take anything for granted.
No,
as we just saw this past Friday night.
You got to go on the road. That's Centennial. About Martin County. Centennial won the game, blocked a field goal attempt on the last play of the game, and won the game 14-13. It's still a challenge. And again, I tell you this, and I tell our listeners, we have yet to play our best game. I still think the best game is out there. We just haven't put it together yet.
I agree. So now, as you mentioned, we've got another district game, this time again on the road, Martin County. Now, Martin County is a team that we haven't played in, I think, about 3, maybe 4 years.
We were supposed to play them
last year. They had an issue with COVID, and it was protocols, and so they weren't able to play. So now I think it was supposed to be like week 2, I think, last year that we were supposed to play them. But now they're in our district. And with this whole reclassification, Martin County is a part of this district, District 12 of the 4 suburban classification. This is going to be an interesting ball game. Martin County's coming in 5-2. The 2 losses, those are 2 district losses. Treasure Coast, they lost early, 28-7, and then as Gary just mentioned, to Centennial, 14-13. And Martin County was off this past week. Their last game was back on October 7th when they played Stranahan, and they won that game 21-11. There's been some talk about, some of their players may not be a part of the team or anything, but honestly, who cares? That we got to go down there. We got to play the Tigers. And again, when you're on the road, you're playing at somebody else's stadium. You never know what can happen. So, Vero Beach has got to be ready to play. Gary, this is a offensively speaking, this is a fairly balanced team. They've got a total of 885 yards passing. They've got a little over 1,000 yards on rushing. So this is a balanced attack team, and Rod Harris has got his Tigers playing well.
Yeah, and that's through, 6 games?
7.
7 games. 7 games. That's right. I'm thinking back to those. Yeah, you're right. 7 games. And at 5-2, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year. You and I had him on in the spring.
Right.
And we talked about Martin County on one of our podcasts, and he really was saying this is really going to be a rebuilding year for us. We lost a whole bunch of seniors on that 9-0 team. That regular season, they won all 9 games, and they were, made the playoffs, and they were really expecting this year to be a rebuild year. And right now he's 5-2. That's just good coaching on his part. We're up against it's kind of like, Lenny can have an off year in talent and still win 10 games.
Right,
I mean, that's just a lot of that's just good coaching.
Well, and you got a team offensively, they're scoring 25 points a game. Defensively, they're only giving up 10.5. Sound familiar? That's Centennial numbers there.
Yeah.
So, you can say what you want about, they're 0-2 in the district. Well, guess what? 0-2 in the district means they can throw the kitchen sink at you right now because they got nothing else to lose. And if they get a win, that kind of makes things interesting with one more game to play, one more district game to play. So if they could finish out 2-2, who knows? Yeah,
and they go head-to-head on a lot of those competition things.
Right.
So you're right. That's why I said a win this week, it pretty much locks us in for the playoffs, but doesn't lock us into the district. And that's what you want to win your district. That gives you home for a long time. If you're the number 1 team in your region, and then you're, depending on how far up the ladder you are with the Florida high school when they put the brackets out. And also, I will wait on that. Don't get our cart in front of the horse too quick, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Gary, it's hard to believe. I mean, here we are. We're going into week 9 of week 9 of high school football here. And you and I were just talking about this, how fast this is really flying by. I mean, it's kind of like the roller coaster. It's like you're working your way slowly to the top. And then, boy, once you get over that crest, man, it's just hang on.
Yeah, it's been a fun year. It's already, here we are 8 games into the season, actually 9 counting the preseason game.
Right.
And you start thinking about, okay, what has been your MVPs or what's looked the best? And that's why I say to our listeners, we're a pretty good team. We just haven't played our best game yet.
Right.
I mean, we got an offensive line that was put together, and they're learning each week. I mean, we have got you got Ben Hall on the left, you got Paul Paris as left guard, Silas Batchelor at center, you got Chase Stevens at right guard, and Dalton Jordan at right tackle. That line has come together and done a good job. Your running back, I mean, having Quincy back, and how about Jonathan Hillsman, the freshman coming in while Quincy and Jaqueen Jean were hurt, banged up,
right?
And he comes in and it's, the freshman does a great job. It's good to have everybody back now out there. And our receivers, we asked about who was going to be the fill-in for Ephraim Floyd. Well, Woolard has done a great job, but they've done it by committee.
Yes.
But they've done it by committee at different types of and how about the year that so far Vondravius Jacobs is having? I mean, if he's a Florida State commit, they got to be licking their chops looking at this young man and the way he catches the ball, the way he portrays himself as a good football player.
Right.
The kid can jump, he can run, goes on defense, can play defense, and you take the team of this team and you add E.J. White gets in there in the shotgun and the Wildcat rather and starts running the ball, and he's got several touchdowns, and he's a good athlete, folks. That kid plays defense, plays offense. He's on special teams. and he's just a freshman. I mean, and Hillsman, a freshman. The future looks good with a couple of those guys like that at Vero Beach.
I agree. And the future right now, the immediate future is this Friday night when we take on Martin County. Key district matchup. Vero Beach looking to go to 3-0 in the district with they can get a win over the Tigers. It's going to be a tough one. We need Vero Nation to be there, represent, and help our boys get through this ball game. It'd be good to have everybody there. If you can't, I promise we're doing everything we can to make sure that we get the broadcast on the air, both radio, online, and yes, of course, YouTube. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that game is ready to go. Game time is at 7 o'clock. Our coverage will begin at 6 o'clock with Countdown to Kickoff presented by Caps Pizza. Hey, for Gary Paris, I'm Paul Tipton. You've been inside the press box. As always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the press box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.